I'm not a morning person.
Dedicated to being passionate about it.
Bodybuilders have become more lazy.
People have always thought I lift fake weights.
Iran and the United States.
You take responsibility for that.
A part of your story, your life story, is a battle with cancer. You've spoke about it publicly before, so I want to ask you about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Tell me about it. Tell me when it happened, how it happened, and how you beat it.
Okay, so I remember when I was 21, I was already in the military. I was stationed in Aviano, Italy at the time. Okay. I had been there a year and 8 months. And I remember that last year I was there, I had went to the doctor literally probably once or twice a month, okay, because of my left knee. So me going to the doctor, so, back and forth, my supervisor's like, "You good? Are you sure you're all right?" And I'm like, man, and the difference on the flight line, like I worked on the flight line. I was a weapons loader, right? So the flight line culture is a little different. We're like more hardcore, So I go and I say, it's my leg, man. He's like, my leg is killing me. He's like, and a lot of times we as men, just try to suck it up and just, keep pushing. But I was like, man, like I tried and I couldn't. Like I was like, I gotta go. So I was going to the hospital, and there was a point where I took a belt, that you put on your waist, and I tried to cut the circulation off of my leg because it hurt so bad, right?
What kind of pain was it? Like a muscle pain or something inside?
No, it was in my bone. So then I tried to put ice on it, and everything went numb except that spot, right? It was the top of my shin. So I'm like, man. So I go to the hospital, and I had a doctor, and he kept telling, he was like, "Oh, it's tendonitis." And he said, "Oh, it's bursitis." I'm like, man, so he gave me a cortisone shot. I'm like, man, this ain't, it lasted for like a few minutes, and then next thing you know, it start hurting again. I'm like, man, this is crazy. So I was like, can I get another doctor? So I got another doctor. Doctor was like, let me do a scan. Let me check you out. So he did a scan, checked my right knee, right? The bone was all white, right? How it's supposed to be. Did the left knee. The left knee was all white, and at the top it was black. He said, that's cancer.
Wow.
So mine, 21, in my shin bone, in the top of my shin bone, it says, then when he said that, the other doctor, my first doctor, said, you may have to learn to live with one leg. And the new doctor was like, get out. He told me get out. He's like, listen, that's worst case scenario. Mind you, I'm 21 years old, right? I'm a kid still. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So he said, get out, calls me and tells me, he says, listen, we're going to just go aggressive with chemotherapy. We'll get you through. And he's like, it should stop hurting after the first session, and it should kill it after 7 sessions. I said, okay. So another blessing in disguise, right? I was raised by my father. My father raised me, okay? So I really didn't have a real relationship with my mom. Okay, from 3 to 16, I really didn't have a relationship with my mom. Didn't know her too much. And I went to the military at 19. So from 16 to 19, I met her again probably once, right? So I go and, but I knew she was in the military. My mom's in the military still to this day, and she's about to hit her 40-year mark. So I knew she did. She's a cardiac physician assistant. Okay. So they said you got 2 options. You can go to Walter Reed, which is the hospital, it's a military hospital in Maryland, or you can go to Wilford Hall, which is another military hospital in Texas. I said, my mom works at Walter Reed, so send me there. So they called her. And this is the statement that she made that changed my life forever, right? And so it's hard to get, for me, kind of like, not necessarily hard to get sympathy from me, but when you have excuses, I can't handle it too well. So I called my dad, and he says, he's like, what's going on? Me and my dad are super close. That's my guy. He's also a part of my team. So it's my dad and my coach. That's my team. Okay. So I called him. He's like, what's going on? What happened? And I was like, Dad, they just told me I got cancer. He was like, oh man, like he was hurt. Right. I called my mom. and this is what I needed, right? I knew me and my dad have a connection. We're just super close. I called my mom. My mom, now mind you, I didn't grow up with her. I don't know her nurturing style, right? You expect to get some kind of empathy from your mother. I call her. I said, "Hey, mom, like I just, got diagnosed with cancer." And she said, "Okay, what are you gonna do about it?" She said, "You gonna cry about it, or you gonna take care of it?" And I said, "Take care of it." She's like, "Okay, let me talk to the doctors." I gave her the phone to the doctor. The doctor said, "Okay, well, we'll set up his doctor." She's like, "No, don't set up anything. Just send him to me. I'll set up his doctors. I got his doctors. Just send him to me." I go 2 days later. I get on a plane. I'm going from Italy to Maryland. I did my first biopsy on my knee bone, in the bone, the marrow, on Christmas Eve. And then I did a second biopsy on New Year's Day because they didn't get enough out. I started my chemotherapy sessions. I did 7 sessions of R-CHOP chemotherapy. Lost my hair, everything, like normal. And after that, I was in remission. And it was from January until May time. 3 weeks apart, 7 sessions.
It was completely gone.
Completely gone. It was a blessing because I was in the military at the time. So they took care of the bill, everything, obviously, because of insurance. Also, they gave me the option to get out or stay in. Now, mind you, I had just been in only maybe 4 years, at the time. So they didn't give me the option. I chose to stay in, and now I have 4 years left, and I'll be done. And I'll be 38 at the time when I retire.
So you mentioned chemo kind of like it messes up your body, right? You lose the hair, it affects
Absolutely.
your body.
Absolutely.
How long after you get off chemo do you go back to normal?
The beauty of that, so that was another blessing in disguise, right? So I talked to my doctor about it, Dr. Potter, and he says he saw me after after I went to Afghanistan in 2011 is when I started lifting. Okay, 2011 is when I started lifting. I saw him after that. He looked at me, he's like, "Okay." He's like, "You started lifting." So what happened, what he said, when I started taking protein, creatine, all that stuff, my body was still regenerating because it kills your whole body. Chemotherapy doesn't pick and choose what it kills, right? It kills everything. And then your body has to just regenerate. So I was to the point where had I caught the common cold, I could have died. That's how bad it was, right? So, but what I did instead, I started lifting and everything like that, and my body was uptaking all of the nutrients and everything. And he said, that's how I kind of grew to the point where I'm at now. And he's like, "You did good." And I was like, "Thank you," But it was just a matter of, it took me down. Like my immune system, white blood cells they were shot. So I couldn't fight off anything.
Yeah, what a crazy story, man. Now, right now, as a bodybuilder, right? Obviously, you take your body through constant. You constantly challenge your body, right? You take it to
Right.
extremes. Are you ever concerned about your health? Do you ever think about your health? And
Always.
because bodybuilding is an extreme sport, regardless.
Agreed. I always think about my health. That's number one. I do blood work because of the chemotherapy. I have to do blood work once a year, at least, to make sure it's nothing coming back. So we did do that, and but since we do, take a lot of supplement stuff, we actually do blood work more often than that.
I want to ask you. So the cancer that you had in your shin bone, was there ever? I know cancer is kind of like it comes and goes sporadically, but did they ever tell you what could be the reason why you developed it?
No, and that's what's crazy. I've always been healthy as a kid. It wasn't hereditary. It wasn't anything like that. It just out of the blue. Now, me and my father, we think we know what happened, and we're in a lawsuit for it right now.
Oh, really? So it could be a reason for it. Oh, wow. I see what you're saying.
So, and we think because of that, what it was, it affected him as well. Not with cancer, but with another sickness. So we're definitely in a lawsuit right now.
When it comes to cancer, it's such a big part of today's world. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
People get those types of cancers, and it's like the studies, you
But
know.
people got to understand. I look at it like this, right? Some of these things, right? I think it was more so scary because I thought it was a death wish, but it's not. And that's what you got to understand. Like my sister, as my stepsister right now, she has cancer. Okay. And so she called me, she told me, you know, and she was broken. And I said, listen, you're sick. There's medicine. You're going to be fine. Now, when you think about it like that, it makes it easier, right? Because it's like, okay, I'm sick. There's medicine. We're going to be okay, right? Now, other stuff, obviously, that doesn't have cures and stuff is scary. But when you think about, we just break, instead of saying, oh, it's cancer, it's like, oh my gosh, it's a death wish. No, you're sick. There's medicine. You'll be fine. Go and look at it that way, you know, and then it kind of makes it a little bit easier for you. And it made it easier for my sister too.
But when it comes to like and people talk about the cause of cancer, it's like
Mm-hmm.
you read things, you know, red meat causes it. No, veganism causes it, and then it's like all these variety of reasons.
It's too much into where you'll scare yourself in a box. You can't live like that. You can't live like that. You know, who wants to live like that to where they're scared to do anything? You can walk down the street and get hit by a car. You don't know. You're not gonna not go outside, right? So you got to live life. Like at the end of the day, you got to live life and do what you want to do. Because nothing's ever promised, right? It's nothing.
Absolutely. But I'm glad that obviously, you know, it's a great story, which you just, you know, what you just
yeah.
told me, and you know, I'm sure a lot of people going through things like that. So
Absolutely.
to hear how you made it,
Absolutely.
you know, it's gonna be inspiring for people.
Absolutely.